I would like to introduce our moderator for this session, who is a seasoned professional with extensive experience in the staff. As the director of a school, he has demonstrated exceptional and nurturing innovative ideas towards sustainable growth. He has been instrumental in creating environments for entrepreneurial success. His leadership continues to inspire and empower emerging businesses to achieve potential. I am honored to invite Mr. Haider Miraj to the stage. Please come up and take over.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम जी, थैंक यू सो मच। टेको इस मुल्क में कोई और लोग कहते हैं, अकेडेमिया से उसका दूर दूर तक कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है। खैर, आई एम एक्सट्रीमली हैप्पी टू मॉडरेट द पैनल टुडे। I am extremely happy. There is a slight change. When we are talking about way forward for industrial technologies, we are talking about fostering higher education in comparison to the industry and global trends. So we are talking about international standards for higher education commission and higher education institutions across borders. I am very glad to introduce my panel today. We have Dr. Khurram Aziz, an associate professor at Dalhousie University in Halifax, Canada. He is a seasoned academician and technology professional with over 2.5 decades of experience in both academia and industry. Sir, please join us on the stage. We will be introducing panels from left to right. Moving on, we have Professor Dr. Ashik Anjum. His work on digital twins, research and cross conferences have been exceptional. He belongs to University of Leicester and he has been making Pakistan proud for over 3 decades. Dr. Ashik Anjum. So there is no way you can go to Multan from this auditorium. Moving on, I request Dr. Hamad Naveed to join us on the stage. He is pro-active for University of Central Punjab. His work for computational biology has been exceptional. He is a Fastian at heart and has been working tremendously for more than 2 campuses of FAST. Thank you so much, sir. I now request the head of the panel, my mentor, my teacher, and the person who has disrupted the higher education and now is in process of bearing the consequences, the man behind the... हम फिर उनका वेट करते हैं before we proceed. I request Dr. Dominic Billon, an associate professor and a member of the Autonomous and Critical Embedded We request now the chair of the stage, Dr. Zoel Kayum. He is a Fastian, he is in love with education, the founding team of FAST National University Chiniot-Faisalabad campus, former Vice Chancellor Open University, Federal Urdu University, and now Executive Director, Higher Education Commission. A huge round of applause. So I'll start with you. When we talk about academia, there are a lot of people in this hall, specifically Usama, who have prepared questions about fake researchers, number of research people, and most than that, our education policies. When we talk about cross-border, you have been very instrumental in introducing transnational education policy for HEC. How do you see international institutions coming in Pakistan, bringing international curriculum to Pakistan, and making it compatible to way forward for industrial technologies? So how do you cross this triangle?
Thank you very much, Haider, for a very generous introduction. Thank you for inviting me here as well and sharing a few thoughts. I have a different view about higher education and the purpose of higher education and fostering higher education institutions and creating research which is relevant, which is applicable. I strongly believe that these words should really be inherently the outcome of the higher education activities, and especially when it comes to research. No research anyway is useful if it is not going to solve any problem. No research is useful if it has no impact at all. Obviously industrial technologies or the industrial sector is not an exception for that, in that case. And another thing which I can say very confidently, having worked with different institutions of Pakistan, and very briefly, for a short period of time, I've worked in the UK as well while I was doing my PhD. And I have the luxury of really meeting these colleagues. Most of them I know in person, and few who are sitting in the front row. I've learned a lot from them as well, and I'm of a firm view that whatever we are doing is second to none, I would say. The curriculum we follow, the faculty members, these are the young faculty members who are training the youth of Pakistan and who have an experience of working, who are graduated from around the world, institutions from around the world, and now they have the experience. Where is the gap? The gap is, I would say, the surroundings around us. We see less applicability of whatever we are doing in the institutions. We see very little applicability of the research, whatever we do in the institutions, and that's a human factor anyway. If we are compared with doing something which is going to solve the problem, and I see that this is going to be used by someone, obviously my level of interest would significantly increase. We always talk about industry. Where is that industry anyway? Who is looking forward to really receiving input from these young, bright minds working in the institutions of Pakistan. So it has to be really seen in a holistic fashion, where all gears meshed. Every part of this whole ecosystem is to contribute, and if any one of these components is not really providing its due share, you can't really expect that this wheel should start rolling anyway. And I see a number of examples. I see Dr. Heather working very good. He's leading very good initiatives in Pakistan, especially protecting the digital landscape of Pakistan. They have indigenously produced products which are practically being used by different strategic organizations of Pakistan. So they are competitive anyway, provided they are given the opportunities and the trust that they can do it.
Very wisely put. I'll come to you, Dr. Dominic. You have a very diverse experience, physics, astro, and then coming back to engineering. I was referring to the CEOs of top unicorns, and most of them were engineers. So when it comes to director of engineering, you have a very different perspective. And you being at a head trick of ICIT, you would have interacted with the fact. Where do you see the lapses when it comes to international compatibility? And how do you see the way forward globally when it comes to these trends, protecting the landscape when it comes to digital, and making human resource compatible to the upcoming challenges and trends?
Okay, I'm not sure I understood very well the question.
It is about protecting the digital landscape and making the human resource compatible globally.
Okay. Can you repeat?
So I think, whatever I could understand, if I'm able to understand whatever Heather is saying, do you see a gap in the competence levels, in the level of research maybe, the level of rigor of activities we see in the institutions in Pakistan and
in Paris, France?
And in contrast, do you see there is a gap which exists in terms of implementation of the curricula, carrying out research activities, and the productivity of the research in Pakistani institutions compared with institutions abroad?
Okay. Well, the problem, I don't know so much about Pakistan, but from what I've seen so far during this conference, visiting the campus, it seems that you have pretty much a lot of facilities that are required for that, and I think you probably have a very good education. One thing that I noticed yesterday, we had a discussion with people from industry and academics about research collaboration with industry, and there seems there to be a big difference with respect to France, in the sense that we have probably much more research money from the government going into research projects shared with industry. And that seems to be one of the issues for Pakistan here, to have better collaboration in research with industry. And so in France we have these big European projects. It's really a lot of money. So one problem I could say about our system is that sometimes we have companies that are in research project mostly for the money, and they don't contribute so much in the research itself. So, but yeah, so.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dominic. Moving on to Dr. Khoyam. Sir, being a native Pakistani working across you and with you, Dr. Ashak, you guys have worked across borders and with the speed that you've been traveling with. Where do you see are the racks that are people having, research trends have been there? Because when we see globally, we normally claim that Pakistan has slightly laid back attitude when it comes towards the research and the topics. And when we see global perspective, do you see there's any lapse behind it? Or our students, our research and our priority in education is at par with global trends?
Let me just talk about the higher education in Pakistan first briefly, and then I'll link it to what we do outside and what I've observed there. So if we talk about the standard of education in Pakistan, the curriculum we have, the courses we follow, they are all the same, more or less the same globally. So I don't see a difference too much between the curriculums we follow in the top universities in Pakistan at least, and for example the Halsey University where I come from. So, and I can say that because we are trying to formulate collaborations here and there, and we do course comparisons at a deep level, and they are more or less the same. So our degree in Pakistan translates to any other degree abroad, and they are accepted that way as well. So that was the first part. Then, if we say that our students are lacking, that's not really true. If we compare on a course level, it really depends on how the institute and then the teachers are conveying the same course. So we have a standard course operating systems, we have network computing, we have databases. They are the same across the world, but how are they being taught? When it comes to the standard, and we say that the students are not of the same standards, that's not really fair to the students, because it may be that the teachers maybe don't self-improve. So one thing that I've noticed when I went to Dalhousie was nobody will tell you to take a certain course as a faculty member to improve yourself. There's you can say, a cycle of self-improvement that you have to keep doing. For your own self, you have to keep up to date with the technology, whatever courses you teach, you have to keep updating your courses yourself. Nobody tells you to do that. If we offer teachers training, I've seen in Pakistani universities, teachers don't self-improve, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Too much, you will see old courses. Then sometimes teachers training is offered, but when you offer teachers training and teachers have to take that, that's sort of forced. Doesn't work that way. So unless there's a self-improvement involved in our teachers, yeah, you can say that. That is where I think things are lacking. The way I see in the research, there's a deep connect between the academia and the industry. Now, I was there in the industry talk yesterday as well, and what I saw was a deep disconnect, and there's a reason for it. In Pakistan, it's mostly the services industry. That is correct. But if you see, again, I would go back to the faculty members in the Pakistani universities. If you're a young faculty member here, then you would have young colleagues who are working in the industry. You should go and connect with them. Ask them what their problems are. Form a small research group, 2-3 students. There are brilliant students in Pakistan. Try to solve their problems. If you can start doing that, eventually you will start doing research. That problem would roll into a bigger problem, you solve that, and then this goes on. And this was being followed. I know from when I was with Dr. Zia at NUCES, there were researchers like Ali Khyam, Saad. They did the same thing. We went and talked to Nokia. Industry here is a bit selfish. They need something because they are not into it. They are not so big here. They don't have that much money as maybe international institutes have, international companies have. We might not have presence of Google as much here. So when it comes to creating or getting that level of funding, we don't have it here. So we have to really find other ways to do it. So it's not that we are lacking in any way, it's maybe the effort is a bit lacking.
Very well put, thank you. Coming to you, Dr. Ashikanjam, we were just discussing over lunch when you said that one research paper with an impact, one patent, is better than hundreds when it comes to this. How do you see research methodologies and research practices in Pakistan? Because you have been at GIKI a week before, you have been a very active part of our conferences. Do you think it's mere talk and talk, or do you see an impact coming out of these conferences and research?
Yeah, so maybe first I should connect to what other colleagues were talking about. So yesterday we were in Industrial Advisory Board, and I was thinking that what is the key questions that being asked. For example, if you're at Stanford or if you're at a Cambridge, you will not be redesigning your course based on the industry feedback. If a person from industry is coming to university and dictating me what we should be changing, then universities are not doing their job. So, yeah. So because academics are 10 to 15 years ahead of what industry is doing. So if we are trying to simply follow what a service industry is doing and we redesign our curriculum, then we are to some extent inviting disaster, because in 10 years down the line, most of our graduates will be unemployed. If you look at the Silicon Valley trends, for example, Google and Microsoft recently fired, even Twitter as well. So in total 10 to 15,000 people. Those people, software engineers, were fired who were just doing routine jobs. So if you have to survive either in industry or academia, so you need to have a connection with research. If you have to survive as a teacher, you should be following research-informed teaching. If you have to survive in industry, you need to bring in research into your day-to-day routine actually. Otherwise, whatever the job is, the routine jobs will be replaced by more automated tools, what we say it's AI these days, and more capable people would simply replace. And even they would be saying that if a fresh graduates can do that job, why we should be paying 3 times more amount? And that's the reasons most managerial position in software industry are to some extent kind of replaced with fresh graduates because they are not really adding value actually. So that's one thing that I was thinking. So where universities could play a role, we need to simply go beyond. For example, if you look at a systems course, Dr. Kuramaziz was mentioning, at Cambridge or Stanford, they're teaching the same thing that they were teaching 20 years back. Because they focused on fundamental things. Tools would change, but concepts would not. Yeah, so applications would be changing because applications are to some extent connected to the society, but the fundamentals would still be the same actually. So if, for example, people are kind of doing large language models, people have been doing those things for the last many, many years, but there were not many applications actually. So smartphones, for example, they became mainstream, but a kind of HP was producing or Motorola were producing these 30, 40 years back, but there was not demand for that. So the concepts probably are not new. So concept would be there. So academics probably, if they are really deep into their own stuff, they would not be simply following industry, they would be driving the industry. And another thing is that if you want to fund your research, by simply competing with industry, probably that would not be a good idea. You should be focusing on things that industry cannot do, so high-risk research, so that industry don't have the capacity or the capability or not the expertise to carry out those things. So now coming back to your question, so to some extent, Pakistan is the same thing as well actually. So what we see in UK or USA and elsewhere in Europe, Pakistan has the same kind of talent. Our graduates are very talented. There are enough facilities, but it's probably the connection between teaching and research that we need to some extent strengthen. Because if our research is 20 years ahead and you're following research-informed teaching, then your teaching would be 20 years ahead as well, and then you would not have to follow the industry, rather you would be driving industry. And probably this is where we need to focus.
Thank you so much. Coming to you, Dr. Hamad, being a Fastian at heart and being a part of OIC of Fast National University and heading one of our main campuses in Lahore, you have been very well knitted with the industry, from the Sahi and Aftar parties to coming back, bringing them to campus and making curriculum that, when it comes to tech, is very compatible with the industry. But from the last 15 years, I am a part of higher education institutions and I'm seeing the same debate. Academia kya kar raha hai, industry kya kar rahi hai. This was the same, I and Dr. Zia were talking with furniture industry back in Gujarat that we want to facilitate you. But then there's a lapse when it comes to this. We do not see much culture of patents. You are running a center of research computational biology. Where are things going south? Why are we in the same loop, repeating the same things?
Thank you so much, Heather. So I'll first point out a couple of facts. I think ये चीज़ तो शायद everybody agrees, the talent that we have at undergraduate level is actually very good. And the kids are exactly the same, probably better in most cases than what we see outside. Our work ethic is good. So where the gap is, I'll just point out 2-3 facts. And I think the sooner we change that, the faster it will bridge this thing. So first of all, whenever you ask for research funding outside, there is a national policy. For example, if you're asking for funding in Saudi Arabia, the ultimate goal is to increase oil output. Whether you're doing wireless networks, IoT, sensors, you have to link it to the oil output. So what are our national priorities in Pakistan? Our national program for universities, everywhere, you can submit any proposal in it. There is no national priority in terms of agriculture, desert agriculture, food security. We have to pick 2 things and put money in those things for the next 3 years. So we solve the problem and then move ahead. Right now we're putting in money, we are a resource constrained country, and in any case we're not putting out too much money, and if you put it in too many places, the output doesn't show. Okay, the first thing is that. Second thing is, so we agreed that our undergraduate students are good. What about our faculty? So the faculty outside, particularly in the US and Canada, our contracts used to be 9 months. 3 months we had to earn our money from the industry, NSF, NIH. We were not paid for 3 months if we were not doing anything other than teaching. Here we are very comfortable with a 12-month salary. Why would I want to go to the industry and ask for anything? So we have to develop systems where there's a carrot and stick approach, where you have to force people to go out and interact. Let me give you examples of how this will work. So Pakistan Tobacco Company has been producing cigarettes for the past, 40 years. Recently they converted to vapes and they started exporting vapes to the GCC region. It is a sugar-based solution that they export. In Europe, this is not allowed. So in Europe, the vape solutions are salt-based. So even though they got the exact recipe of how to make that, it was not being able to replicate in the PTC factory in Jhelum. Can be verified from anybody inside Jhelum. So what happens is a pure basic chemistry thing where the pH is not being made. One of our faculty members, a very good chemistry, we just showed the same thing that they are following this. He immediately told us the bicarbonate being used is either local or substandard, check that. Second thing he said that the water that is being used is not filtered, check that. Both things were correct. He was this Tuesday at the Jhelum factory producing the same thing with the same component with the right pH. So it's not that our faculty is not good enough. I think we're not creating these opportunities, these problems. The industry is not confident in asking the faculty members. The faculty members are not confident in them to go out and guide the faculty. So you have to force this marriage. Not everybody will succeed, and not everybody has to succeed. All you need to do is make these heroes in your universities who interact with people, who solve people's problems, maybe make companies and not talk about shareholding in the beginning. Let them become rich, let them earn money and show the people that this is how you have to be. So once you have, I mean, why are celebrities so followed? Because they're money. Once your few teachers who are sitting here have large Mercedes cars, you'll already follow them, what they've been doing. So let them be rich and let them go out before starting the discussion about how much share will be the universities, how much will be the industries. I would like that the entrepreneurship policy should be so open that we have enough academicians doing business.
This all would come down to national priorities, higher education, and Higher Education Commission. So as far as I vividly remember, there was a time, there has not been a long relationship with research when it comes to HEC. There has not been a quality framework when it comes to HEC. And now that we have finally a technologist who is at the right position, asking you as the chairman of National Commission for Computing as well, as of today at 3 on their website, I am asking you that where are things going when it comes to national priorities, though when it comes to research and national policies, HEC is excluded from those meetings. Still, I'll put this question to you.
Well, few replies, मतलब अगर आप इसको कट नहीं करेंगे और ये लाइव जा रहा तो few questions actually require a very what should I say, a candid reply, but I have no actually issues if it's a candid reply, but if the others can really listen to it and they have that capacity to really accept whatever is being said, the truth which is being said is to be listened. Well, I'll refer to what Dr. Hamad was just mentioning and Khurram and Ashik Sahab was saying. Luckily, I know all of them, and as I said, few sitting in the front row especially, and even the Vice Chancellor of Information Technology University as well, since quite some time. And I would build on the same point, actually, discussion which I was having few minutes earlier, that we are really competitive. If Dr. Khurram was working with NUCES and now he's working with Dalhousie, he had that potential and capacity really to be competitive when you place him or any other faculty member elsewhere. They are actually equally competent to really deliver and rub their shoulders against others who may be working in these advanced countries. So, yes, there could be faulty policies or skewed policies as well, which where we may be spending money, but it is not really harnessing the benefits and the advantages we envisaged at some point of time. And without going, I'm a person who has always been saying, let's not really go back at scale one and start really complaining about what went wrong and spend more time really to identify whose fault was it actually which created the scenario. Let's start working on it, and from this point onwards, if it needs mending the ways, it needs mending the policies, let's do it. And with this actually strategy, we started working in HEC afresh, I would say. I had always been really talking about the research priorities, as Dr. Hamad was mentioning, and this year we revised the first 6 months of the team, which started working last year. We reviewed the policies, whether it is undergraduate policy, whether it is the quality assurance framework, whether it is now we are actually approaching our colleagues in the UK. We are going for a teaching excellence framework and a research excellence framework as well. And the outcomes which we'll get and the parameters they'll identify will then allocate the resources and the funding to those priority areas, and we'll evaluate them using those parameters so that we at some point could really say, well, the baselines are raised. And whatever we had on ground, we have reviewed the National Research Program for universities. That was the flagship program HEC used to have, as Dr. Ahmad again was mentioning. Anybody can submit any proposal there, and we would receive maybe 3,000, 4,000 proposals, and we'll keep on funding those proposals for next 2 years or 3 years. And I, this year, actually said, stop it. We have very little money available, and that was actually the program we used to fund. That was the program we will be spending around 3 billion rupees every year, between 2 billion to 3 billion rupees every year. We have revamped it, so the 30% of the total grant shall go to the basic research. Any basic research in any domain. That's equally important in my humble view. You need to add to the body of knowledge anyway, registering your contribution. 70% of the total grant, whatever we'll allocate in HEC, shall go to the applied research, and out of this 70%, 40% shall go to the solicited research calls. It is not really a free form of proposal. We have identified few priority areas, and in the second round, we'll be now inviting colleagues from industry and senior academics from the universities, and I will request them to provide us a problem statement. And based on that problem statement, we'll invite the research proposals under that umbrella and we'll fund them. And this is an informal, actually, announcement only. I've said I'm ready to fund a proposal of any value, provided obviously it falls well within my allocated budget. We'll fund it if it has an impact, if it is going to solve my problem of my country, the local issues, and similarly, the global challenges we face at the same time. We are ready to fund it, provided it has an industrial, actually, partner who is going to then take that research output and findings to the industry to the next level as well, and maybe commercialize it as well if it is worth. But having said this, Center of Excellences, I would then again refer to Professor Heather. It wasn't a bad idea, and still it's not a bad idea. It has to be well thought of process. And the final comment is, if I strongly agree, I mean, I don't have any better words really to really say, in other words, as Dr. Ashik said, why industry should be really steering the universities, you should teach this. If it is the case, we should point finger towards ourselves and ask whether we are not doing good enough, one. And secondly, pity is, if the politicians decide that the computing graduates' quality is not good, and who is to become the next computing council chairman, that's the real pity.
I would remind you that Dr. Shahzad said that we are doing right. तो मुझे तो काला डाला नहीं उठाएगा. Moving on to Dominic. So when we talk about way forward for industrial technologies, we see that a lot of basic sciences have been not onto the table anymore. We see that future of engineering is bright. Where do you see, which are the technologies of the future when it comes to you, your perspective, in a European context, and then we'll talk about the Asian context.
Sorry. Yeah, the future of our technologies, well, that's a tough question again. Of course, there's AI, but as you said, we still need really to keep working on more the fundamental concepts and not follow too much. One problem I can see is we tend to follow too much fashion research topics. All of a sudden, AI appears, everyone starts working in AI. We have the same thing about the blockchain, cybersecurity, and I think we have to try to keep focusing on the fundamental things and not only go everything towards this fashion, because especially what happens in France is when we start working on these fashion topics, it's actually already too late to make important contributions. And so I think one problem I can talk about France is that we invest too much in these. We have a lot of specific call proposal for specific topic, and I think we don't have enough open research topic calls, because that's how you can make a big difference if you're the first to come up with these ideas. And so we tend to focus too much on project research related to fashion topics, and not have enough long-term funding for ideas that can take several years to mature. So I would say this is my view on
Thank you so much. Coming to you, Dr. Khoyam, where do you see the future of technologies for, let's say, next decade?
I think it's dangerous to try to predict the future. Right now it's AI as said, but AI related to what? It's more about cross-disciplinary.
Yeah.
So especially for computer scientists, we have the biggest opportunity because computer scientists are going to be in every field now. So be it medicine, be it sports, you can think of anything. So cross-disciplinary research, and on top of that, you can utilize the natural language models, you can utilize deep learning, so AI. That is, I think, where we are headed. So it's really important that when we produce those research proposals, we try to think of projects, we think about where this should be applied. I think that's what the future is going to be, exactly what it's.
Thank you. Thank you. Coming to you, Dr. Ashik, I wish I could.
Before you really throw the next question, Dr. Ashik has suggested so that they know they are part of it.
After this, we are going for the questions.
Is round ke baad. The floor is open for you, and I mean, we'll be really happy to listen to your
Doctor,
thoughts, suggestions, and questions as well.
आप पूरा साल सवाल इकट्ठे करते हैं एक दिन के लिए. So very quickly, Doctor, when we talk about AI, language models, I wish I could ask it to Dr. Heather as well. What about digital secure landscape when we are telling everything to AI for ChatGPT or when you digital twins or anything, or future is AI? Are we going to compromise on our security when it comes to digital landscape, or future is going to be vulnerable?
Reality is that we are living in a global village. So if ChatGPT is allowing us to use a tool free of cost, so yeah. So other day I was reading a quote that when missionaries went to Africa, and so they said that we are giving you. They were preaching essentially religion and said we are giving you a free book. So what did happen? Then they said that after few generations, that we had the religion and they had our lands. So if you get anything free of cost, be suspicious. Okay. Now we are getting free Facebook, we are getting free Google, we are getting free a kind of Gmail, we are getting free now ChatGPT. It's there. Yeah. So if you are sharing it by will and talking about security, probably we should be concerned. So you know my answer.
Yeah. So thank you.
So and one last question, thing that I would like to add is that computer science that's now would be different after 5 years, 10 years. So we should be mentally ready. So the software engineers that we are producing, probably they would not be required as number of software engineers that we have now, because bulk of the code that they're writing would be generated by large language models. So if we don't teach them fundamentals of the next generation AI, otherwise they would become users of LLMs, and then they would not be able to compete, and there would be a big kind of a round of redundancies actually. So academics, this is an opportunity as well that we could lay the foundations of next 10 years or 12 years or 15 years and start teaching fundamentals so that we are ahead of the industry. Otherwise, there would be a big kind of round of redundancy. Electrical engineering. Electrical engineering was one of the most well sought after area, and now you see that the people cannot fill vacancies because it's not that there is not demand in electrical engineering. Faculty in Pakistan did not invest in research. So hardly anyone is teaching embedded AI. Hardly anyone is teaching robotics, for example. Hardly anyone is teaching energy storage, for example. So, and for example, digital twins, no one is teaching even people don't understand the concepts. So this is the reason. If we don't reinvent computer science now, we should be ready to face the same kind of strategy or same problem that electrical engineers are facing. Whereas in Silicon Valley, electrical engineering graduates are still earning more than computer science graduates. So that's to some extent food for thought that we need to be investing now to protect the future of computer science.
That's the takeaway of you. Final question to Dr. Hamad. I know that you are in love with the intersection of AI and health sciences. And if medical council and HEC would let you, you would make some cross programs. But do you think the future is in health sciences with AI, or how do you see that?
So before that, Heather, I just wanted to add, because we were discussing the industry, and I mean, a lot of my friends are in industry, and they've been coming and giving us feedback. I wanted to comment on that more. So remember, because we are a growing IT economy, and a lot of our companies started very small from 3 or 4 people sitting in a flat. And most of them undergraduate students with not much research experience, because by that time, I mean, we were not teaching research anyway in our universities. And this is the same thing that happened in India as well 30 years ago. So they were a service-based economy. Even now, probably 80% of their work is service-based. So ours is like 96%, but again, this is a process that does it. And the fact with service-based industry is that their projects are 3 months, 4 months. They cannot invest, to be honest, it's not because they are selling cheap labor, they cannot invest in 6 months of training for a 3 months or 4 months of project. So the input that they are telling us is that what they require in terms of training so they can do plug and play. I think most product companies still don't come and tell you that you have to teach this tool, you have to go and teach it. Big companies like NetSol, CureMD, they still focus on fundamentals, and even their tests are basic math and basic programming. So because those companies will still focus on, but the other service-based industry simply, it's not economically viable to focus on fundamentals and teach them 3 months tool. So which is why when the industry comes to us, they basically tell us that at least this tool, the student should be ready on this tool, so we get the job done appropriately on. So I think that's the perspective that I had to mention, that why the industry comes, and at least a couple of electives in those 2-3 tools can help kids get jobs faster. And maybe not everybody is going to be an inventor. Some are going to be worker bees. So the worker bees need to know tools. The inventors probably need to have better fundamentals and go further. In terms of AI and health, I mean, whether we like it or not, AI is already here. Okay. Whether we stop it, I mean, right now in the US, you can order, as I said in my talk as well, a radiological report for $50 without the intervention of a doctor. So in most cases, you will have assistive AI, but eventually it will get so good that you'll have automated systems that give, particularly in areas where you don't have, like right now in Pakistan, we counted, we have 170 total pathologists in whole of Pakistan. So what will people in remote areas of Mardan, interior Sindh do? They will have to travel to first a big city, and then what if there was an automated tool for them to first know an initial diagnosis that you are in danger, come to the big city, or it's okay, you can. I mean, the initial triaging phase. So AI is going to be here, whether we like it or not. People who will adapt to it and sort of will sustain and progress. Others will, yes, will wither out.
Thank you so much. We'll open the floor of questions, but we'll keep it concise. We'll keep it concise and less opinionated, more of the questions. I love you too, Sama.
So everybody tried to, आपने कुछ facts दिए, so let me just quote some facts for you as well. We are 136th in the education. Last time we spent 2% of our GDP से ज़्यादा हमने 2014 में खर्च किया था. अब भी हम उस 2014 से कम खर्च करते हैं. We are 4th in terrorism, 3rd in passport rating, and 2nd in fake paper production. And you know the reason why? Because everything is associated कि तू 10 पर्चे करने, then you would be associate professor. भाड़ में गया बाकी सब. This is the reality. Then if you try to change, so Future of Job report came in 2023. So it said 85 million jobs would go out of the window in next 5 years. And we are not even willing to change our curriculum. And you know the reason why? We'll do a meeting, we'll go to Shahzad Saab ke sari karna hai. He'll say, okay karna hai. We'll go to rector, karte hain. And then kuch bhi nahi hota. The reason let me give you the reason. I saw a picture on Facebook. There was some PEC regulator agency meeting going on, and they were thinking कि generative AI को हम engineering में introduce करते हैं. The youngest guy in that meeting was 69 years old. I have all the respect for those professors. They have done wonderful stuff.
I'll put you a question there.
Yeah.
लेकिन वो जो आपने कहा ना कि डॉक्टर आफ्ताब तक जाती है, वो यस कहते हैं फिर आगे, तो आप वो मैं तुम मेरा नाम क्यों नहीं लेती? सही क्वेश्चन ये चीज ही कही है.
ठीक है. दूसरा, सर्विस इंडस्ट्री की बात की, थोड़ा सा फैक्ट्स के साथ बात करते हैं. सर्विस इंडस्ट्री पाकिस्तान में है, और ये जब तक हमारी करेंसी इस हाल में रहेगी ना, हम चलेंगे. We will get a LLM expert in $2,600 in Pakistan. Find me one in US. You won't find. So we get a $2,600 salary pay, LLM expert. I did that job, so I know that. So, but the point is कि सर्विस इंडस्ट्री को अब जो AI ने लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड कर दिया ना, पाकिस्तान में कोई भी प्रोडक्ट नहीं बनाता. हमने कल भी शायद बात की, डॉक्टर साहब मौजूद थे. तो हमारा करिकुलम रेडी नहीं है भाई. हम 1900 अंधेरे के कोर्स पढ़ा के कहते हैं कि हम मतलब क्या बोलूँ मैं, 1900 अंधेरे का कोर्स पढ़ा के कहते हैं.
सवाल अगर समझ आ गया तो जवाब दे लेते हैं.
And the last thing, just one thing, priorities की बात की थी. So there are 4 areas that I believe that if we can focus on: agri-tech, ed-tech, climate-tech, and if you want to throw in fintech, and last one defense tech. वहाँ हम बात नहीं करते, बाकी 4 पे अगर आप बात करें.
वहाँ पे भी गए ना.
सारों को आपने रिगेट दिया है.
Defense
वहाँ पे कहते हैं वहाँ पे हम बात
सर
नहीं
वो
करते.
डिस्पैरिटी है ना, डिस्पैरिटी मतलब नास्ट के पास अंधी फंडिंग है, इसलिए वो आगे है.
हेल्थ से क्या प्रॉब्लम है आपको?
Okay, health tech, bring them that.
सर
अच्छा देखिए, मैं सवाल, इस पे सवाल तो नहीं है, बैरन कमेंट है, मैं ज़ाती तौर पे समझता हूँ. और हमने अपने जो सवाल है, सवाल पूछना आपका हक है. और एक बंदे की मैं बात कोट करता जो उसने कहा कि सवाल पूछना आपका हक है, इज़ादिये इजहार राय से मुराद यही है. लेकिन ये मतलब नहीं है कि जवाब भी आपकी पसंद का हो. तो हमें इतनी अपने अंदर ये पेशेंस डेवलप करने की जरूरत है. बच्चों के लिए भी है, मेरे लिए भी है, कि हमें जवाब भी सुनना चाहिए. अब उससे मुत्तफिक नहीं हो सकते, बात दुरुस्त है. डॉक्टर साहब ने अभी ये बात की, खुर्रम ने भी की, डॉक्टर आशिक ने भी की, मैं हाल कहूँ बेश डॉक्टर हमाद ने भी की. I'm sorry, I'm talking in Urdu. I mean just for actually expressing myself in a better way. There is nothing wrong with the courses in majority of the cases. Well, you can differ. I mean that's the point. I mean saying this like this, you can say me, well stop it, I won't reply. But if you're expecting a reply, that's why I said just in the beginning, the reply is not to be as suits to your thoughts. One is to reply based on one's own experiences and thoughts. I mean, let's accept it, please, for heaven's sake. And that's the dilemma of my society. We cannot agree, we cannot actually accept the difference of opinions. We all should really learn this. So, I normally quote it, and Khurram and myself, we've worked in the same institution for quite some time. And he's now working in a Canadian university. जो कुछ इन्होंने पढ़ा था, जो कुछ मैंने पढ़ा है, जो कुछ डॉक्टर आशिक ने पढ़ा है, डॉक्टर आशिक is a graduate of UT Lahore, right sir? And I have high regards for him again. He probably, I mean as far as I know, I mean I'm a frequent traveler, at least to UK, and I visit the universities as well. He probably was the youngest professor when he became professor in professor of computer science. Kya tha? I mean, was he deficient in his backgrounds? Or you don't trust the British system? Was it? So, meri submission hai, there is always goods and less goods. There is no bad thing actually which exists. It's good implementation of a course and less good implementation of a course. And this is what all of these colleagues said. We do not actually deny the fact that the teachers are to really self-improve themselves, bringing in new techniques of implementing a course. आप कंप्यूटर साइंस के हम उस्ताद हैं. मैंने जिंदगी में अगर आज तक फर्ज करें, मैंने तो पाइथन में आज तक भी एक लाइन ऑफ कोड नहीं लिखा, मुझे उसके बाद जरूरत नहीं पड़ी. लेकिन जिस दौर में मैं पढ़ा हूँ, बहरहाल मैं ये कहूँ कि मेरा पढ़ा हुआ रिडंडेंट हो गया, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. ये मेरा मानना है. सो क्या मैं फिर उसके बाद नई टेक्नोलॉजीज और नए कॉन्सेप्ट से अपने आप को अपडेट करता रहता हूं और फिर कोर्स इंप्लीमेंटेशन कैसे करता हूं? दैट्स द पॉइंट। सो इसलिए मेरी सबमिशन है कि हमें सजेस्टिव मोड में किसी जगह पे अगर गैप्स हैं तो सजेस्टिव मोड में उसकी निशानदेही करनी चाहिए, गैप की निशानदेही करनी चाहिए। और इस पे कोई दूसरी राय नहीं है कि अगर उसमें कोई लेजिटिमेट सजेशन है, सब्सटेंटिव बात है, तो हम सारों को उस पर इम्प्रूव भी करना चाहिए। एंड फाइनली द यूनिवर्सिटीज आर फ्री, मैं आप HEC का पर्सपेक्टिव दे रहा हूँ, द यूनिवर्सिटीज आर फ्री टू डिजाइन देयर ओन इलेक्टिव कोर्सेज। Nobody stops you to do it. इसमें लिबर्टी है जो हमारे ग्रेजुएट स्कीम हमने आपको दी है। I visited IITs only few months back in India, and I deliberately visited IITs just to know, सिर्फ ये जांचने के लिए कि IITs बहरहाल एक ब्रांड है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है। And I asked the same questions as we all ask from each other. I said, I mean, what's the difference you are doing? Why your graduates are selling like hotcakes? Why industry is coming to you? What is the implementation strategy you are adopting there when it comes to implementing a course or designing a new course for that matter? And trust me, I went to their 7 labs in Delhi. I'm not saying they're not doing good work, but when I take my, I accept my limitation that since last about 2 or 3 years, I could hardly read मेरी job की नौयत ऐसी है. But I visited their labs. I met their PhD students in the labs. They had 7 labs in IIT Delhi. There was not a single topic of research जिस पे मैं कहूँ, wow, what a wonderful, novel research work they are doing. It sounded me like as if I know something about it. Okay? And then we discussed this academia industry bonding as well and the way. And the final thing, जो डॉक्टर शहजाद की तरफ भी आप कह रहे हैं, आप मेरी तरफ भी कहेंगे, मैंने हमेशा ये कहा है, let's not compare oranges with apples. They introduced me to a young boy who completed his PhD and joined IIT. तो मैंने कहा ये प्रोफेसर साहब क्या कर रहे हैं? कहते कुछ नहीं कर रहा। तो मैंने कहा कि what is his plan of work? He's designing a course. I've said him, well, he can adapt, acclimatize, and can design a new course if he likes to. I said, well, then what he's doing, he's designing his own course to be offered in the next semester. मैंने कहा, then what's other way of really, teaching practices you adopt? He said, we offered Gen AI course in the last semester. मैंने कहा, तो फिर, how did you implement that course? तो उसने कहा कि ये वो बात है जो अभी बात डॉक्टर आशिक ने भी की, डॉक्टर खुर्रम ने की। उसने कहा, यार हम कोई जनरली किताब फॉलो नहीं करते, खुसूसन इलेक्टिव कोर्सेज के लिए। फाउंडेशन कोर्सेज वहाँ भी यही हैं। तो मैंने कहा कैसे पढ़ाया? उसने कहा, कहते जी कि जो लास्ट 2 years में रिसर्च आर्टिकल्स पब्लिश हुए हैं, हम सिर्फ उनसे उनको केस स्टडीज के तौर पे पढ़ाते हैं और उनको इम्प्लीमेंट करवाते हैं। तो जिन बच्चों ने हाथ काले किए हैं मशीन पे बैठ के, उसके बाद जब कोई आके उनसे कोई चीज़ पूछता है तो उन्हें वो शायद नहीं होते कि जी व्हाट इज दिस, व्हाट दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। देन आई आस्क्ड व्हाट इज द वर्कलोड ऑफ द फैकल्टी मेंबर्स। चूंकि 2 साल पुराने सिर्फ रिसर्च आर्टिकल्स को पढ़ाना इज अ हेल ऑफ जॉब। टीचर से जरा पूछ के देखें। मैंने कहा वर्कलोड क्या है? कहते हैं 1.5 courses a year. I said, come on, 1.5 courses a year or a semester? He said 1.5 courses a year, maximum 2 courses, otherwise it's 1.5 courses a year. मुझे देना यार मैं पढ़ाता हूँ। So यार देखें, मतलब ये realities है। मैंने कहा funds कहाँ से आते हैं? Government of Pakistan, Government of India is providing us the funds. We're not bothered about it. But in 7 years, we were self-sustainable. So let's work out the models. Criticism only won't really solve our problems. Thank you.
मेरे यहाँ तुम्हें खुद से इख्तिलाफ का हक, ये इख्तिलाफ का हक है, मुखालिफत का नहीं। डॉक्टर साहब।
Assalamu alaikum ji, I'm Dr. Sajid from Fast Lahore. I have a few comments. Number one, people were talking about doing industry relevant research. The basic problem is that everybody wants to go ahead in his career. So when you hire an assistant professor, his target is to achieve 15 journal papers to become a professor. You cannot publish 15 journal papers by doing research which is meaningful to Pakistan. if you do research which is meaningful to Pakistan, solving the local problems, you can solve the local problems, you can impact the society more, but then forget about the papers. Moreover, somebody said that one paper which has a patent is worth 100 papers. So we had a rule in HEC that 3 patents were equivalent to 15 papers. I actually myself, as the head of the department, got a person appointed as a professor because he had 4 patents. But that was the last time this happened. After that, HEC changed that rule and the patent is now multiplied with 0. Similarly, if you publish at a conference, like we are here, we are talking, we are discussing, we are trying to understand things, this conference publication is multiplied by 0 equal to 0. So there are basic flaws in our policy. And till we correct these flaws, we cannot expect the teachers to change. The teachers have a career, they need to feed their families, and they need to progress in their careers. So this is a very big dilemma here, that we are talking things on one hand, and we are making policies on the other hand, which do not collaborate. So that's my point. Thank you.
Human cannot be fixed in a day.
Although I wanted to have more academic discussion on honestly, I mean, HEC के साथ किसी दिन अलग session रखें, अलग बात करेंगे. But I'll respond to this very quickly. Dr. मुख्तसर जवाब तो ये है कि I've actually worked in academic sector for about 32 years, almost. So जो आप फरमा रहे हैं, जो शख्स को अल्लाह ताला ने अब जिम्मेदारी दी है, he is not an alien to this world, and he knows the ground realities as well. अल्लाह का शुक्र है जितना भी मैं एक्सपीरियंस ले सका, और अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि मैंने कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ना कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट भी किया है जब अल्लाह ने मुझे कोई जिम्मेदारी दी. We have started, as I said earlier, in HEC. Luckily, the member information technology is a King's College graduate, and he remained vice chancellor of 3 universities. He's a professor of computer science. He's now heading the IT division of HEC. The member research was a Cambridge graduate. She remained vice chancellor again, served the profession for about 35 years, and she was heading the research division of HEC. She has just left. She has joined as vice chancellor of Fatima Jinnah Women University now. The member quality assurance, Professor Gilani, remained with Aga Khan University for about 28 years. Remained vice chancellor of 2 universities, and now is heading the quality assurance division of HEC. And then myself, after serving this higher education sector for about 35 years, and heading institutions as well, I'm now the chief operating officer or chief executive officer of HEC anyway, the second senior officer after chairman HEC. And we set for ourselves an agenda, let's review the policies. As I said earlier as well, and you could have seen maybe 6 or 7 different policies which we could really finalize, got them approved from the statutory bodies of HEC and notified them. The faculty hiring criteria and faculty promotion criteria is the next in the pipeline. We are revising the faculty criteria, faculty promotion criteria by incorporating all other parameters as you are mentioning. I strongly agree, I won't disagree, but we were mindful of the fact that it is human nature. We will be doing whatever is being considered when we are evaluated for the sake of promotions or appointments, etc. That's very true. And that's why we are actually revising it. And the second thing, which is difficult to announce anyway at the moment, but which is very much on the agenda, ये जो पक्की नौकरी वाला तस्वर है ना, जिसने हमें अफीम लगाई है, इसको भी हम खत्म करना चाहते हैं. We are naming it, probably it could be a different acronym, but it's a university pay scale, which is not really basic pay scale of the government of Pakistan as we find it today, or the TTS even for that matter. It's the university pay scale with no pension, with contributory pension scheme only, as you find in the private universities, and a very stringent and relevant faculty hiring criteria and faculty promotion criteria. Probably it addresses your question.
So that was very... So just I would like to add one thing is that one of the problem that I face in, or I saw in Pakistan is that if in a department there are 20 academics, all 20 academics are working in different direction. For example, in Cambridge or in Stanford, they would not like to do research in 20 different areas within computer science. They would say we will be only world leader in 2 areas. For example, systems. Cambridge is #1 in systems. They would say we want to be world leader in that. And then obviously, particular class of machine learning algorithms. They would not hire a new faculty member in a 3rd area. So they would like to go in clusters. So if we, universities could just fix this problem, they could develop sustainability and research. This is #1 thing. #2, you asked about papers. So we live to some extent in a society where the collective wisdom prevails over institutional policies. If everyone in the university start accepting that this is a poor paper and this is a good paper, no one would endorse that. For example, there are 200 conferences in AI, but only 4, for example, ICML, NIPS, and ICLR or AAAI papers would be accepted. Rest would be ignored actually. So, and if there are papers from those 4 conferences, wherever you go, India, Pakistan, America, you would be given an importance. So it is to some extent an internal regulation. And then this is linked to the question that were previously asked. So why are Silicon Valley companies, for example, are world leading? Because they don't run after the market, they create demand. So for example, when Uber was created, there was no demand for Uber. So, and similarly, if we look at Facebook, we look at LinkedIn, and we look at Twitter, there was no demand for those things. So if we could create, if we don't follow the market, the set standards, HEC would be automatically forced to basically adapt those good practices as well. So it means that we should not be criticizing or following what HEC is supposed to do. If we could, as an academic, join forces, create trends and a kind of momentum, then rest automatically would follow. And to some extent, this is the case in USA as well. So there is no kind of governance from the central or federal governments. Same as the case with the UK as well. So where no one is dictating academics. Academics set their own standards and they set quality benchmarks and they follow it. So here, if academics want to write 4-star paper, HEC probably would be encouraging, not stopping it.
I'm going to review this travel grant scheme for that matter. So be prepared for it as well. Thank you.
Very quickly, the final few questions, and then we'll proceed for the closing ceremony. Last question, bhai, kahan se hai?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम डॉक्टर हाफिज तैयब जावेद है। मैं फास्ट फैसलाबाद में सर्व करता हूँ। इससे पहले मैंने फास्ट इस्लामाबाद में सर्व किया है। तो मेरा आपसे एक सजेशन है तमाम के तमाम मेंबर से। कंप्यूटर साइंस में मेरा बिलीफ ये है कि 2 चीज़ें बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हैं, हाउ टू अप्लाई एंड वेयर टू अप्लाई। मेरे ख्याल में जितने भी फैकल्टी मेंबर्स हैं टॉप रैंक यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में, वो इस चीज़ को बड़ा अच्छी तरह से डिलीवर करते हैं कि हाउ टू अप्लाई, बट जो गैप जो है वो हमें देखने को मिलता है वेयर टू अप्लाई। उसमें अगर आप बेशक इस पर्सपेक्टिव से बात कर लें कि वेयर टू अप्लाई, हु टू फंड दिस प्रोजेक्ट, तो मेरे ख्याल में स्टूडेंट को उस टाइम पे, उस ट्रांजिशन टाइम पे, जिस टाइम पे वो डिग्री कंप्लीट कर रहा होता है, उसको बहुत सी चीज़ें उसके माइंड में, फ्रेम में डेवलप हो रही होती हैं, लेकिन वो किसी एक स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट पे नहीं पहुंच पाता कि इसकी टारगेट ऑडियंस क्या है या क्या हो सकती है। तो मैं ये चाहूँगा कि आप में से क्या की पॉइंट्स हो सकते हैं, काइंडली वो रेज करें, या क्या ऐसे आपके सजेशन है जिससे स्टूडेंट की ये एम्बिग्विटी रिजॉल्व हो सके। तो बिकॉज कंप्यूटर साइंस में वेयर टू अप्लाई मेरे ख्याल में हमें सक्सेस के उस पॉइंट पे ले जाती है। FIP में जितने भी लोग हैं इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करते हैं, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल में कुछ FIPs ऐसे हैं जिनको रिवॉर्ड मिलता है, जो फेम हासिल करते हैं, जो अपनी प्रोजेक्ट को एज अ प्रोडक्ट बना पाते हैं, फिर उस प्रोडक्ट को कमर्शलाइज कर पाते हैं। तो मेरे ख्याल में ये चीज़ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि प्रोजेक्ट को प्रोडक्ट बनाया जाए और प्रोडक्ट को फिर कमर्शलाइज किया जाए।
बस ठीक है। Any other question? And then we have final comments very quickly. No women in tech questions.
बोलिए वैसे बोलिए आवाज आ जाएगी।
Okay, I have a very short question. Sir, you especially have already said that AI will be taking over obviously the board and all the fields. So if I am a CS graduate, what would be the appropriate CA for me? Would I be shifting to AI, or tomorrow will be saying that the cyber will be taking over AI? So would I be shifting again? So I will be shifting again and again. So
इसका कोई की बात ये है कि डॉक्टर हैदर लिखली हैं and he is leading the national जो हमारा research stream है और even जो क्या लें
National stream है।
national क्या नाम है उसका NC
Sir, sir.
answer डॉक्टर साहब उसको लीड कर रहे हैं तो साइबर सिक्योरिटी के डिबेट में जब हम चाय पिएंगे तो आप सर से इस पे 5 मिनट बात करेंगे जिसका मतलब ये है कि सिर्फ उसके लिए मेरा ख्याल तो उसके माइक के बाहर बात कर लेते हैं so whatever you're doing do it with an excellence and you should have a confidence in yourself I can do it and I'm the only one who can do it
Final question ji.
But by the way, add kar do you think cybersecurity or AI is other than CS? Is it something else other than computer science?
But sir, the AI person would be obviously specifically be more better than me. Obviously, I'll be having a bigger domain. You having a specifically streamlined. So I think
AI is the core of computer science, core. So you need to be hands-on on AI in a computer science. Yeah. So
Okay, so we are concluding the questions.
last take
So I think that my question is what Dr. Hafiz Tayyib said. If we really look around the world, most of the countries around the world, they have different education. If we take the example of Germany, for example, they have University of Applied Sciences in every city. Every city has University of Applied Sciences where they applied their research and they applied, for example, manufacturing, everything. I think we are lacking in Pakistan really. We do the research at universities, but we have no center where the student can apply to them. And university have no funds for the students. I think we have to increase the fund for this way, so we can have the manufacturing and development and applied work at the university. Every university should have the center for that one.
किससे पूछा आपने सबसे
ये सब सवाल इकट्ठे so we'll take one final comment.
ठीक है सर आप कुछ रिप्लाई करेंगे
Yeah, so probably that's not the right kind of information. So normally applied universities are second-tier universities in Germany. They're not first-tier universities. Okay, so and they wanted to create university, second university in every city. So, for example, Technical University Munich is first-tier university. So what they are teaching, they are very research-intensive universities. So and the graduates from those would be going to the top places. But normal kind of the second-tier universities are mostly the applied universities. Not necessarily they're the best in research, but simply they're teaching on the universities. And students' first choice would be research-intensive university when they apply for undergrad and postgraduate programs. And anyone who cannot get into the first-year university then would be going to the applied universities actually. So probably it's just to create more opportunities for a wider population. So not necessarily that they are doing something or protect the rest of the product.
Actually, my comments was we are lacking the applied works. Like of course we have the university where we do the research.
देखिए उस पे मैं कुछ से कमेंट कर दूँ हुकूमत पाकिस्तान ने भी टेक्नोलॉजी यूनिवर्सिटियाँ इस्टेब्लिश की हैं जिनका बुनियादी मैंडेट यही था जो आप फरमा रहे हैं ठीक है फिर वो सस्टेनेबिलिटी के चैलेंजेस की वजह से उन्होंने कुछ और प्रोग्राम भी शुरू किए नेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी यूनिवर्सिटी है फॉर एग्जांपल या रसूल में टेक्नोलॉजी यूनिवर्सिटी है न्यूटेक है हाँ जी या इस तरह से सिंध में इसी तरह से टेक्नोलॉजी की यूनिवर्सिटी है बलूचिस्तान में अभी न्यूटेक का कैंपस जा रहा है तो वो मॉडल और स्ट्रीम बहरहाल एग्जिस्ट करती है लेकिन जैसे डॉक्टर आशिक ने कहा कि शायद जो एक एकेडमिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है हमारी यूनिवर्सिटियों के बारे में जिस तरह से हम उसे देख रहे हैं जर्मनी में भी जैसे हैं हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ये है कि शायद वो उससे मुख्तलिफ है जैसे आप फरमा रहे हैं लेकिन मैं फिर गुजारिश करूँ देखिए एक मुल्क जिसमें 13% एक्सेस रेट है इतनी सारी हमें जो बहुत बड़ी इन्वेस्टमेंट नज़र आती है हुकूमत पाकिस्तान की और 267 यूनिवर्सिटियों की, उसके बावजूद we are lowest in the region in terms of the access rate in the tertiary education system. We are almost 13%. We started with 2% when we started in 2003 or 20 years ago. So there's a lot to be done even now with this good number of institutions, and count at least 267. There's a lot to be achieved. We have this access rate, as I said, lowest in the region even. 30%, 36% is the access rate we are talking about in the South Asia region. So, and this filtering shall, और एक मैं फिर बात कहूँ, मैं कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो ज़ाहिर है डिप्लोमेटिकली शायद कहनी नाम लेके मुमकिन नहीं है. मैं luckily I've never been to India, but मैं गया तो IIT के साथ मैं गुजर के एक पब्लिक सेक्टर यूनिवर्सिटी की साथ से गया जो तकरीबन 1300 एकड़ पे मुहित है, हार्ट ऑफ दिल्ली में. और उसके टीचर भी मेरे टीचरों की तरह कई दफ़ा बाहर नारे लगा रहे थे, तनख्वाहें नहीं हैं, बिल देने के पैसे नहीं हैं. एक सरकार की यूनिवर्सिटी बहुत बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटी है, ऐसी है जैसे मैं कहूँ कि मेरी इस्लामाबाद में कायद आज़म यूनिवर्सिटी है, उस तरह से शायद मैं कहूँ. सो देखिए मसाइल हैं, हर मुल्क में हैं, हर मुल्क में ही, जो डॉक्टर साहब ने भी कहा, देयर इज़ अ नेचुरल कैटेगराइजेशन ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटीज़ एंड दिस इज़ वेरी नेचुरल, दिस इज़ नॉट अननेचुरल एनीवे, राइट? So there are good, very good universities, there are good universities, there are relatively less good universities. There is no bad, मैं बहरहाल बुरे का लफ्ज़ तालीमी इदारों के साथ नहीं जोड़ता, क्योंकि उसमें बहरहाल बेहतरी की गुंजाइश रहनी चाहिए और वहाँ पे पढ़ने वाले भी मेरे साथ के लोग हैं जिन्होंने बहरहाल कल को करियर शुरू करने हैं. और ये कम अच्छे की तारीफ में, आई नो आशिक एनीवे पर्सनली, मैं अपने आप को तो बहुत अच्छा जानता हूँ, तो शायद मुझे आज यहाँ नहीं होना चाहिए था अगर उन कम अच्छे इदारों से पढ़े हुए लोग कभी ज़िंदगी में कुछ अचीव करने का ना सोचते होते.
Thank you so much, Ji. One final comment. Anything you would want to say, Dominic? Anything you would want to say? To conclude.
No, thank you. It's fine. Thanks again for participation. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'd like to conclude. हम लोग ना impatient बहुत हैं. हम लोग काम बाद में करते हैं और पहले कहते हैं हमें फंडिंग नहीं. हम जनरल बातें ज़्यादा करते हैं, हम स्पेसिफिक्स पे बात नहीं करते. सो अभी अगर 10 लोग कहेंगे ना, फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे कि हमें फंडिंग नहीं मिलती, अभी मांग किस लिए रहे हो, उसका करोगे क्या, उसकी क्या रिजल्ट निकलेगा, उसकी क्या मार्केटेबिलिटी है, क्या आपने फिजिबिलिटी बनाई है, क्या आपने प्रोजेक्ट प्लान बनाया है. अब फाइनल ईयर प्रोजेक्ट्स की भी बात यहाँ पे किसी ने की थी. फाइनल ईयर प्रोजेक्ट हम बनाते हैं तो उसका कुछ होता नहीं. भाई जब आप बनाते क्यों हो, जब आप बनाते हो पहले सोचो कि मैं प्रोजेक्ट क्यों बना रहा हूँ, उसका प्रोजेक्ट प्लान बिल्ड करो, उसकी कोई फिजिबिलिटी बनाओ, फिर उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करो, फिर उसको मार्केट करो, ताकि आपके पास पूरा प्लान हो. तो पैसे फिर मांगो, अगर फिर नहीं मिलते तो किसी शिकायतें करो नहीं यार.
Final comments, Dr. Hamad. Good morning.
I think the takeaway would be कि a little bit हम बाकी सबको criticize तो करते रहेंगे, लेकिन within the system there is enough room for work. I think if there is somebody who wants to do even within this system, I think there is still room. We have enough good students, we have enough good atmosphere and enough sort of opportunity to be really be able to do it. So I mean, even with limited funding sources, ऐसे बात नहीं है कि कोई करना चाहता है तो उसे पकड़ के नीचे कर दिया जाता है. There are, as I said, we have to make starts so people get encouraged. हम negativity में बहुत ज़्यादा चले जाते हैं. We should actually portray the positivity and what can be done within the system. System आहिस्ता आहिस्ता खुद ही improve होगा. Expecting the system to overnight change, वो एक sort of unrealistic सी है. इसी system में रह के करना है. We have to work within this system and gradually improve it. We give a better atmosphere to your juniors to what you got. And as people said कि we are बहुत ज़्यादा बेसब्रे हैं, तो थोड़ा सा अपनी क्षमा जलाते रहें. You will feel the difference within a few years. ऐसी बात नहीं है कि there will be instances where people will tell you कि कुछ नहीं हो सकता. That's absolutely wrong. So be positive, do your best, and I think this system will help. You'll find ways within the system to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ji. We would be winding up our panel discussion. Thank you for the amazing panelists who were told a minute before the other panelists. But we are looking forward to host you at ICIT 2025. Thank you so much, Ji. Winding up for today.
ceremony in 5 to 10 minutes. Be seated. Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the curtains draw to a close on this remarkable technical conference, we found ourselves profoundly grateful and genuinely inspired.
Over the last couple of days, we've been immersed in the dynamic world of technology, witnessing the immense power of collaboration, innovation, and the sharing of knowledge.
We have seen breakthroughs, explored cutting-edge trends, and engaged in spirited discussions. These experiences have expanded our horizons, forged new connections, and deepened the existing ones.
Together, we've embarked on a collective journey toward a brighter, more technologically advanced future. Let's carry forward the invaluable lessons learned, innovative concepts discovered, and the friendships forged here.
Our deepest gratitude goes out to each participant, esteemed speaker, sponsor, and organizer. Your dedication and enthusiasm have made this event an unforgettable success.
Now let us proceed with the concluding formalities of this incredible event.
It's now my pleasure to invite Dr. Usman Joya, Program Chair, to present the comprehensive conference report. Dr. Joya has been instrumental in curating the impactful content and sessions that have defined this event. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Joya to the stage.
Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues and participants, it's my privilege to present the report for this remarkable conference. Over the last 3 days, we have witnessed an engaging platform for intellectual exchange, collaboration and innovation. This conference hosted 3 invited talk sessions featuring 28 keynote speeches, 9 workshops, 2 panel discussions, and 17 technical sessions that included 48 technical papers meticulously chosen from 237 submissions after a rigorous peer review process. These sessions cover diverse and cutting-edge topics in major areas of computer science, software engineering, artificial intelligence, and electrical engineering, fostering dynamic discussions and fruitful debates. The backbone of this process was our esteemed team of 130 reviewers from 7 countries whose dedication and expertise ensured the highest standard of quality and relevance in their 700+ reviews. Their efforts were instrumental in shaping the program and setting the stage for the presentations that we enjoyed. The event brought 200+ participants from 6 countries, creating invaluable opportunities for networking and knowledge sharing. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our authors, reviewers, session chairs, mentors, student co-chairs for their commitment to excellence. Finally, I thank the organizing team, sponsors, network partners, collaborators, whose tireless efforts made this conference a resounding success. Together, we achieved a milestone in advancing. Let's carry this momentum forward in our future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joya, for the detailed and insightful summary of the conference highlights and outcomes. Your dedication is truly appreciated. Now we come to the pinnacle of our conference, the award distribution ceremony, where we recognize and celebrate the excellence and innovation of the world of IT.
To begin with, we would like to call upon stage Dr. Aftab Ahmed Maroof, Rector of FAST National University of Computer Sciences, and Dr. Director, Chiniot-Faisalabad campus, to join us.
Starting with, we have the Best Poster Award, which goes to Mubin Tariq for fine-tuning and evaluating the abilities of open source LLMs for story generation. Please give a huge round of applause. Next, we have the Best Paper Presentation Awards.
The third Best Paper Presentation Award goes to Mr. Faizan Dastagir for Sustainable Energy Generation using Animate Prime Movers, a research note on methodology, stimulation, and AI system.
The second Best Paper Presentation Award goes to Rahman Ali for Adaptive Meta-Learning Framework for Algorithm Selection in Healthcare Informatics.
The first Best Paper Presentation Award goes to Muhammad Bilal Islam for Knowledge Transfer in Cross-Domain Recommender Systems.
Let's proceed by acknowledging the participation of our esteemed guests, starting with Dr. Hamad Naveed from UCP, Pakistan.
Next, we have Dr. Haider Abbas from NUCES, Pakistan.
Next, Dr. Adnan Noor from Lahore, Pakistan.
Next, we have Dr. Muhammad Khan from University of Greenwich, UK.
Dr. Nadeem Abbas from Linnaeus University, Sweden.
Next, we have Dr. Ashik Anjum from University of Leicester, UK.
Dr. Umair Shafiq from Carleton University, Canada.
Next, we have Dr. Khurram Aziz from Dalhousie University, Canada.
Next we have Dr. Dominique Bloin from Telecom Paris, France.
Next, we have Dr. Ashik Anjum from University of Leicester, UK. Next, we have Ms. Zahida, Registrar TUF.
Next we have Dr. Umar Naseem from Kanpur Institute of Technology, Pakistan.
Lastly, we have Dr. Ziaul Qayyum, Executive Director, HEC, Pakistan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now privileged to invite our chief guest, Dr. Ziaul Qayyum, Executive Director, HEC Pakistan, to address the audience.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Very Honorable Director FAST, Professor Dr. Aftab Ahmed Maroof, Director Campus CFD, Dr. Shahzad Saab. I don't know from where I should start. My very dear friends coming from UK and different parts of Europe and of course from Canada as well. My fellow colleagues and friends from different universities of Pakistan. The delegates of the conference coming from different parts of the world. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi and good afternoon. There's only one probably who won't understand what I'm saying, except I think Dominic. The rest probably all are native Pakistanis settled in Europe or in different parts of the world. So just in the beginning, I mean, for the delegates who are coming from abroad, a few words of appreciation are due to FAST Chiniot-Faisalabad campus for continuing with the traditions set by this campus under the able leadership of the then director, Professor Aftab Ahmed Maroof, who is the founding director of this campus and who is now the rector of this university. I also served this campus for a couple of months, 1 year plus maybe, and then it was led by Dr. Shahzad. Dr. Shahzad, thank you very much for actually taking forward the legacy and the good work for which FAST is known about, and the legacy which actually was created by the founding members of FAST, I should say, including Professor Aftab Maroof, because he is again one of the very early faculty members, founding members of FAST, who is now leading this institution as well. So it's difficult to carry forward that legacy set forward, actually put forward by these nobles and personalities. But I really appreciate your efforts and your team's efforts for engaging the students and for engaging the faculty members as well, to create an environment of academic learning, for creating an environment which is paying off to the students at large as well, and then contributing to the community of researchers, community of academics as well, and registering your presence in your peers. So my congratulations to you and your team also. And I'm really grateful to my colleagues who have shared their thoughts and experiences and expertise by giving different keynote talks maybe, and those who have presented their papers. from the faculty members or from the students as well, they also need due acknowledgement, and I'm grateful for their participation and putting in efforts, honestly, to travel to this place, whether they're coming from Pakistan or even especially those who are coming from different parts of the world. I thank you all for making it happen and enlightening my fellow colleagues in FAST TFT and the colleagues who are coming from different universities of Pakistan, and for the benefit of the students of this university in particular. I'm grateful to, since I'm actually now taking dual roles, I mean, I can understand, I mean, probably this is what Professor Aftab Ahmed Maroof is supposed to do, so I'm actually trying to really make it up. The due thanks are due to those who have partnered with the organization to actually conduct this conference. And few words from my side anyway. It's not really anything about, it has nothing to do with KGC or my current role as a member of the Higher Education Commission's team. मेरी गुजारिश ये है कि इस मुल्क के इदारों ने बड़े लॉरेल्स पैदा किए हैं, सच्ची बात है। हमें शायद बाज़ वो जो डॉक्टर आशिक ने थोड़ा सा कहा ना कि हम बाज़ थोड़े से बेसब्रे हो जाते हैं, वो हमारी तबीयत में मिनहासुल कौम शायद शामिल है, उसमें मैं भी शामिल हूँ। मैं आपको अलग और क्लेम नहीं कर रहा, किसी को भी, मैं अपने आप को साथ शामिल करके आपसे कुछ बातें गुजारिश कर रहा हूँ। और लेकिन जैसे मैं कई दफ़ा कहता हूँ, मैं आज भी कहता हूँ कि ये जितने दोस्त आए हैं, कितनी बड़ी अल्लाह की नेमत है कि मैं इनमें से 90% लोगों को ज़ाती तौर पे जानता हूँ, और ये यहाँ पे नहीं है उसके बावजूद जानता हूँ। ये दुनिया के मुख्तलिफ हिस्सों में अपना काम कर रहे हैं, तो ये एक ब्लेसिंग है जो इस मुल्क ने मुझे दी है, लेकिन इस मुल्क ने ये रिसोर्स प्रोड्यूस करके दुनिया के मुख्तलिफ इलाकों में सर्व करने के लिए भी दिए हैं। तो जो मुल्क में हैं वो भी काबिल फ़ख्र है मेरे लिए, और जो बाहर मेरे मुल्क को रिप्रेजेंट करते हुए दे आर ब्रिंगिंग गुड नेम फॉर द कंट्री, मेरे लिए वो भी काबिल फ़ख्र है। सो मसाइल हैं, मसाइल आइंदा भी रहेंगे। और मैं एक मुख्तसर सी बात करूं, जब मैंने AGC में काम करना शुरू किया तो चूँकि बीच में कुछ एक बात हुई तो मैं बड़ा क्रिटिकल था, मैंने प्रोफेसर हैदर से भी शेयर किया। ये तो सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंसेस पे स्पेंडिंग हुई। I reviewed these center of excellences because ED, Executive Director, chairs the steering committee who actually reviews the performance of these center of excellences. मैंने इसका मॉडल रिव्यू किया और उसके बाद मैं इन दोस्तों से मिला। चले मैं यूँ कहूँ कि 100% सारे के सारों ने शायद एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरीली कुछ काम नहीं, सारों ने दूसरा काम नहीं किया, बट मेजॉरिटी ऑफ देम मैं अगर कहूँ, एक मेरे जैसा आदमी जो आप ही की तरह से बड़ा क्रिटिकल है, जब चीज़ों को देखता है, जैसे मेरा दोस्त अभी यहाँ पे बैठा है, सवाल पूछता तो हर दफ़ा मेरे से इतना ही लंबा सवाल पूछते हैं हमारे दोस्त हैं, और मैं हमेशा उन्हें किसी तरह तसल्ली देने की कोशिश करता हूँ कि हमेशा दो ही कलर्स नहीं हैं, ब्लैक और वाइट सिर्फ, इसके दरमियान में बहुत सारा रीजन है जो ग्रे है, तभी फजी लॉजिक भी मौजूद है, वरना हमेशा ये दो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट स्टेट सिर्फ एग्जिस्ट करती होती। तो लेट्स ट्रस्ट द सिस्टम, लेट्स ट्रस्ट योर ओन सेल्फ फर्स्ट। और मैं नहीं समझता कि अगर इतनी ही कम अच्छी चीज़ें होती मेरे मुल्क में और मेरे इदारों में, तो इतने बड़े बड़े लोग और इतने बड़े नाम जो अपने कंपटीशन के साथ और अपने आप के होने की वजह से कहीं पे मौजूद हैं, तो वो क्रेडिट इसी मुल्क के इदारों को जाता है, जिसमें अगर बेहतरी लाई जाए तो इससे बेहतर लोग प्रोड्यूस होंगे, इससे बेहतर रिसर्चर्स पैदा होंगे, इससे बेहतर एनवायरनमेंट्स हमारे इर्द गिर्द पैदा होंगे। लेकिन इस सारे से पहले इस शिकवे का इजहार करने की बजाय सिर्फ अपना अपना हिस्सा डालना अगर हम शुरू कर लें और अपना हिस्से का काम करना शुरू कर लें, तो शायद हमारे काफ़ी सारे मसाइल आपस में हम खुद से अपने कंट्रीब्यूशन से हल कर सकेंगे। और एक मिथ है जो मैं यहाँ खड़े होके इस जिम्मेदारी की हैसियत में ज़रूर कहना चाहता हूँ, और टेकिंग द एडवांटेज ऑफ हैविंग दीज कॉलीग्स हु एक्चुअली कैन स्पीक एट डिफरेंट फोरम्स, एंड स्पेशली प्रोफेसर आफ्ताब मारूफ साहब जो कि हमारी कंप्यूटर साइंस की कम्युनिटी में बहरहाल बहुत सीनियर रिसोर्स हैं। ये जो मिथ है कि मेरे ग्रेजुएट्स की क्वालिटी बहुत बुरी है, जिस पे सवाल भी हुआ, खुसूसन मैं कंप्यूटर साइंस पे भी बात करूँगा। मैंने पिछले 2 हफ्तों में एक कैबिनेट कमेटी जो बनी है, प्रोफेसर हैदराबाद आगाह होंगे, जो राइट साइजिंग की एक कमेटी बनी है और उसमें AGC को बुलाया गया कि हम बहुत अच्छा काम नहीं कर रहे। गवर्नमेंट की एक प्रायोरिटी है बिल्कुल, जहाँ पे हुकूमत वक्त के पैसे लग रहे हैं, हुकूमत वक्त को हक है और उनका फ़र्ज़ है बल्कि कि हमसे पूछे कि जो काम हम कर रहे हैं वो क्या बेहतर अंदाज में कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे हैं। और वो बात होते होते बहरहाल फिर कंप्यूटर, उन्हें नहीं पता था मैं बहरहाल इस कम्युनिटी का हिस्सा हूँ, तो they started really complaining about the quality of graduates because they were talking about HEC. So since HEC is mandated to prepare the policies for improving the academic culture in the country and strengthening the academic infrastructure of the universities, so yes, we are to be blamed in any case, and we are ready to face that criticism anyway. But we should have answers as well, and we should have plans to really further improve it. So I shared with them those details. That meeting is still going on. We'll be having the 3rd session, I guess, on Monday again. But they started then talking about the computing graduates and the quality of computing graduates. I said, come on, stop it. ये तो वो काम है जो मैंने 32-33 साल भी किया है, so मैं भी उतना ही बुरा हूँ या कम अच्छा हूँ अगर ये सारा कुछ सच है, और मैंने नहीं कहा कि ये सारा सच नहीं है, ये आधा सच है। इसलिए कि मैंने कहा कि एक वाहिद सेक्टर है मेरे मुल्क का, IT एक्सपोर्ट्स का सेक्टर, जिसको जब भी कोई मुल्क में तकरीर होती है तो जिस सेक्टर का बड़े फ़ख्र से हम इजहार आज भी कर पाते हैं वो IT एक्सपोर्ट्स, अगर जो बहुत मेंशनेबल फिगर में नहीं है। नेबरिंग रीजन में, नेबरिंग कंट्री में $200 बिलियन प्लस की एक्सपोर्ट्स हो रही हों तो $3 बिलियन तो हमें पीनट्स भी नहीं लगते, ज़ाहिर है, ठीक है बात, लेकिन कंपैरिजन भी बहुत ही ऑड है अगर हम दोनों को कंपैरिजन करें। बट दिस इज द सेक्टर विच हैज प्रोड्यूस्ड सर्विस रिलेटेड सॉफ्टवेयर, मैंने कह रहा हूँ प्रोडक्ट्स हैं फिलहाल 3 बिलियन से ज़्यादा की हम कहते हैं कि एक्सपोर्ट्स हैं। तो मैंने कहा इन नालायक बच्चों ने ये पैदा करके दी है, ये इन नालायक बच्चों ने, जिनको आप नालायक कह रहे हैं, ये इन बॉयज़ एंड गर्ल्स ने बहरहाल ये सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोडक्ट्स प्रोड्यूस करके दी हैं। तो आप अपनी बात को डिफेंड कीजिए ना। दूसरा मैंने कहा कि ये वो मुल्क है जिसके फ्रीलांसर्स ने काम करके, फ्रीलांसर को तो कोई नहीं रोक रहा ना कि तुम अच्छे हो कि कम अच्छे हो, तो मैं फलां मुल्क से लूँगा और फलां मुल्क से नहीं लूँगा, और तुम फलां इदारे से पढ़े हो और फलां इदारे से नहीं पढ़े हो। अगर ये मुल्क इन बच्चों की वजह से दुनिया में 3रे या 4थे नंबर पे है फ्रीलांसिंग में, तो फिर क्या ये ग्रेजुएट्स बुरे हैं जो ग्लोबली कम्पीट करके बिजनेस देते हैं और अपनी प्रोडक्ट्स जो है बहरहाल कहीं ना कहीं सेल करते हैं और पैसे बहरहाल रेज करते हैं जो कि नेशनल एक्सचेंजर में कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं। So let's stop really criticizing this youth. They are far better than myself and we all. They are far better than us. They are more loyal to the land. They are more patriot, and they are far intelligent than myself and many of us जो कि इस मेरे वाली जनरेशन से हैं और ये जो आगे भी बैठे हैं। So let's trust them and let's have faith in them, और इनको ये एतमाद दें। इनको बुरा कहने से तो हम इनसे कुछ नहीं ले सकेंगे। अगर कम अच्छी है कोई चीज़ तो रियासत की और मेरी जिम्मेदारी है कि उसको ठीक कीजिए, और आपके शिकवे बजा रहे हैं हम, हमें इससे इनकार नहीं है। लेकिन ये यकीन रखिए कि जिन लोगों की जिम्मेदारियां हैं, कोताहियां भी होंगी कहीं ना कहीं, वो लोग अगर अपना काम जानते हैं तो इंशाअल्लाह आने वाले हर दिन में उसमें कोई ना कोई बेहतरी भी आएगी। And I have reasons to really believe in it. And I have reason to believe in you because you have delivered and you have contributed to the well-being of this country. So that message is to be passed on. जिसलिए मैंने आप सारों की मौजूदगी में ये गुजारिश की है, जिसे डिफरेंट फोरम्स में कहने की ज़रूरत है कि ये एक मिथ है जो हमने क्रिएट किया है कि इस मुल्क के ग्रेजुएट्स की क्वालिटी बुरी है। ये सारे एक्सपर्ट्स और इन सारों को लाके मैंने एक और आर्गुमेंट दिया कि हम पाकिस्तान के चंद इदारों की मिसाल देते हैं जो बहुत अच्छे हैं। फास्ट में शामिल है, 10 में शामिल है। मैंने कहा बहुत कम अरसा से ही मैंने भी नस्ट में पढ़ाया, मैंने फास्ट में भी कुछ अरसा पढ़ाया। अगर मैं बुरा हूँ तो मेरे होने से उस इदारे में, या वो इदारा अगर अच्छा है तो उस उन फैकल्टी मेंबर्स ने उस इदारे को अच्छा बनाने में और वहाँ के बच्चों ने उस इदारे को अच्छा कहलवाने के लिए अपना रोल अदा किया है। तो मुझे बताइए, अगर मुझे उठा के या डॉक्टर खुर्रम को आज उठा के फर्ज करें, या डॉक्टर तैमूर को उठा के, या इनको नदीम साहब को उठा के मैं किसी ABC यूनिवर्सिटी में खड़ा कर दूं जहां पे वो कंड्यूसिव एनवायरनमेंट में नहीं दे पाता, तो वो कसूर इस प्रोफेसर का तो नहीं है ना, उन बच्चों का है। तो मैंने उन्हें कहा कि हमें इस इकोसिस्टम पे गौर करने की ज़रूरत है, हमें इस इकोसिस्टम को बेहतर करने की ज़रूरत है कि ये यहाँ पे खड़े होके भी और किसी और जगह पे भी खड़े होके उसी तरह पढ़ा सकें जैसे अपनी दुनिया की मुख्तलिफ यूनिवर्सिटियों में खड़े होकर पढ़ाते हैं या इसी मुल्क में मुख्तलिफ यूनिवर्सिटियों में खड़े होकर पढ़ाते हैं। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट आर्गुइंग एंड डिस्कसिंग the gaps we have in terms of providing a conducive teaching and learning environment in the universities. It won't fix the issue if we would always be saying quality of graduates bahut buri hai. So that message, as a responsible officer of an organization who is responsible for creating the policies for promotion of teaching and research in the country, I'm saying this on record. And as a member of the academic community, as a practitioner, I'm saying this. It's not truth in its totality. So, सिर्फ ये एक गुजारिश मैं साथ करना चाहता था. I know all of you have to now rush back to your original places. बच्चों ने घर जाना होगा, मेरे जैसों ने फिर दोबारा इस्लामाबाद वापस जाना है. मेरे इन दोस्तों ने, मुझे पता है आशिक साहब ने भी मुल्तान जाना है और फिर उसके बाद इन्होंने वापस इंग्लैंड जाना है. एंड जब देखें इन लोगों की मोहब्बत देखें जरा, मैं हैरान हो गया इन सारों को यहाँ पे देख के, जितना सफ़र है इनका. लेकिन खुसूसन आशिक साहब को मुझे पिछले हफ्ते GIKI ने कहा कि डॉक्टर साहब आप में किसी वक्त ज़रूर आइएगा, हमारी 1-2 दिन की कॉन्फ्रेंस है. डॉक्टर फजल पुराने दोस्त भी हैं जो डायरेक्टर हैं, मैंने उनसे माजरत की. मुझे कहा कि यार आशिक इंग्लैंड से आके की नोट दे रहा है और तुम अजीब आदमी हो, या तुम इस्लामाबाद से GIKI नहीं आते. मुझे बहरहाल ख्याल बड़ा हुआ और मैंने कहा चले डॉक्टर आशिक आए हैं, मुलाकात भी हो जाएगी. सो आई कमिटेड विद हिम और मैं पेशावर गया एक काम से. पेशावर से वापसी पे मैं GIKI गया कि डॉक्टर आशिक से मिलूंगा जाके. मैं थोड़ा लेट पहुंचा तो ही हैड ऑलरेडी लेफ्ट. यार आशिक साहब के सर वो तो इंग्लैंड वापस चले गए. मैंने कहा यार वो इंग्लैंड गया है कि यहाँ साथ वाले किसी महल्ले में गया है. मतलब आपने कहा कि वो कल आए हैं तो आप ये कह रहे हैं कि वो आज वापस चले गए हैं. एंड आई एम हैप्पी टू सी हिम इवन टुडे हियर. और मैं ये कह रहा था मेरे शहर से भी हैं, तो मैंने कहा यार फिर अब तो आप यहाँ पे हैं, अगले चंद दिन की मुलाकात होती है, विल बी लिविंग डे आफ्टर टुमारो अगेन. किस लिए आते हैं ये लोग? आपके लिए, आप लोगों के लिए आते हैं, इस मुल्क के लिए आते हैं. और अगर हम इन्हें ये होप की बजाय शिकवे शिकायतें सुनाएंगे तो कहेंगे यार मैं पता नहीं क्या लेने जाता हूँ यार, इसी कजिए से दो चार हैं. सो लेट्स रियली बिल्ड द होप फॉर people of this country. It's a beautiful land. इंसानों से जितने ये बाहर रहते हैं इनसे कभी पूछ लीजिए, हम सारी किताबों में तो कहते ही हैं या आर्टिकल्स में भी कहते हैं, इससे खूबसूरत मुल्क नहीं है और इससे खूबसूरत लोग नहीं हैं. आप किसी भी दुनिया के हिस्से में चले जाएं, जो मोहब्बत करने वाले लोग हैं, जो मोहब्बत बांटने वाले लोग हैं. तो इसको ओन करना हम सारों की जिम्मेदारी है. कहीं पे अगर ऑड्स हैं तो आइए मिल के उन ऑड्स को दुरुस्त करते हैं, उनको मज़ीद बेहतर करते हैं. अल्लाह ताला आपका हामी और नासिर और पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ziaul Haq, for your inspiring words and valuable insights. Now, let's have a brief look on the highlights of ICIT 2024.
we would like to request our Honorable Campus Director, Dr. Shehzad Sarfaraz, for concluding remarks.
So I'm really grateful and honored our chief guest, Professor Dr. Ziaul Qayyum Saab, and our worthy director, Professor Dr. Aftab Ahmed Maroof Saab, for joining us since morning until the end of closing ceremony, although it's a time everybody is leaving. And besides that, I am really grateful to my international and national speakers. Those made successful this event, so it was not possible with their presence. And above all, I am grateful to the dignitaries, especially Umar Saab, Ma'am Zaida, and all others who joined us for this conference. So I don't want to take much time, so it was just the final remarks and the responsibility on my shoulder to say you thanks and looking forward for your collaboration for this campus, for this country, and other than this campus, we are very much open. You can contribute to all other institutes in Pakistan. So we are here and we can collaborate with other universities. We can foster knowledge and education for this region. And again, a big round of applause for my team. They really worked very hard since. And above all, this event was not possible without financial support. You know, finances remain everywhere. So I am grateful to Higher Education Commission Pakistan for sponsoring this event. And beside that, a huge sponsorship from FAST head office, so which give us the opportunity to make this mega event. Sir, I am really grateful to both of you. So once again, thank you very much and looking forward to see you during next year, and inshallah we will try our best to make more impact during and throughout this year. Thank you very much.